Hello and welcome to Confessionals and Congressionals. My name is Lauren,
I'm Cassie.
and today we are talking the challenge,
Yeah.
some pop culture updates, a couple of shows that we're thinking about recapping in the future, and more.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna get into. Oh, also we're gonna chat Love Island.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we can't not.
Yes. So first of all, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. I'm off work for a week, so it's nice. And it's going to rain this afternoon, so no pool.
Good. So you get some alone time,
A little bit.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
Good.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Nice. Yeah, it's the weekend. It's Sunday morning here and doing pretty good here too. Kind of just getting the ball rolling on the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So before we get into it, if you are listening on Spotify or any other podcast platform, please subscribe or I guess follow and leave a comment and leave a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe and also leave a comment. Let us know if you like the podcast. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And also, we're going to need some feedback because we're thinking about right now, we're recapping The Valley once a week on Wednesdays. And then we have one other episode a week that is sometimes more politically based, but right now we're a little burnt out. So we're going to move into a little bit more pop culture stuff. So, really, just 2 podcasts a week that are coming out that are probably just like current events in general, sometimes pop culture, sometimes politics. And then we're thinking about recapping another show with our second episode a week. So we're probably going to do the challenge.
Yeah. And then the Valley will end at the beginning of August. And so then we'll have to decide if we're going to do a nostalgic rewatch of something, maybe Jersey Shore. We're not sure. What should we watch?
Yeah, like we have on the docket, we have, well, first of all, the new Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season comes out sometime soon. And I know you're not a huge fan, but some interesting things have been going down. There's a big divorce happening between there's 2 big divorces happening. There's sort of a curse of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills where everybody that goes on that show gets divorced.
Aww.
So I think every woman on that show is now single, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And some of them have gotten married and divorced on the show, like throughout the filming of the show. Some of them were married before and got divorced. Some of them were single coming in. But yeah, so there are 2 big divorces happening, one between Kyle and Mauricio. They have 4 kids together or something. He does a reality TV show with his real estate company called Selling Beverly Hills, I think, on Netflix. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. And they had like this amazing kind of aspirational life. And then they're getting divorced. And he's been like there have been cheating rumors forever, but there's been some paparazzi photos of him out with like younger girls that are like his daughter's age.
Oh.
But they were sort of the like pedestaled, like couple of that show. Everybody loved them and thought they were so aspirational, thought their marriage was so good. And now they're getting divorced. And she's like potentially exploring her sexuality and dating women. So that's sort of been the storyline for the last couple of seasons. I think that their finances are very intermingled. So there's rumors that they may never get officially divorced, that they'll just be separated and kind of call it a day. So that's been kind of messy. And then also PK and Dorit are getting divorced. And he has had gambling debt and has always kind of been an asshole, but she's always seemed to really love him. So we were like, okay, I guess it works for them, and now they're going through a very messy divorce.
Wow. I remember watching a little bit in the early seasons when Lisa Vanderpump was on. And I remember that one of them was in an abusive relationship. And I've seen the documentaries about the aftermath of that.
Yeah. Taylor.
Yeah. But I think I stopped watching, I think when Lisa Vanderpump left.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I think, didn't she leave, like she didn't show up to a reunion and that's how she quit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that people don't like her, but I just think she's such good TV. And I think that the way that she handled everybody on Vanderpump was so skilled to be able to handle that many narcissists and still be the one in charge.
Well, and I think like it kind of makes sense that she quit the Housewives because by then Vanderpump was doing well.
Right.
So like you're the main star. I mean, that's your show. Why stay on this one?
I know, especially when you feel a villain at it coming. Like, she's smart.
Yeah.
She knows how to play the Hollywood game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really admire her for that. I think she's done a lot of good work on making great reality TV, and unfortunately, I've heard that, like, they don't pay their employees and that they sometimes don't pay the rent on their buildings, and there's all kinds of drama there, but all of these people are more morally ambiguous. That's part of why it's fun to watch.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I was listening to James Kennedy's ex-girlfriend, Allie. She was on a podcast, and then Sheena was talking about it, just talking about how Lisa calls them and can sometimes manipulate them into doing what
Yep.
she wants. And that wasn't a great feeling for any of them. But I'm not surprised. I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah, I had seen that too, that she kind of low key tried to convince Ellie to go back to James despite everything we know about him. And I think that lines up with Lisa Vanderpump's whole thing. Like, she really gives men chances over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's something going on there where she just, I think that the standard that she has for how men behave is very low.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I don't like clock her as like a girl's girl.
No,
I really don't. Yeah.
no, no, she's not.
No.
Also, I listened to Tom Schwartz on Lala's podcast. Did you listen to that?
I did. I did. I listened to him on there, and I listened to the Q&A that they did afterwards because it was like a 2-part episode.
Yeah.
I listened to all of it, and it's funny because as I was listening to it, I was like, I just think Lauren is wrong about him. I think he is spectacular. I believe that what we see from him is authentic.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that what was hard to watch on Vanderpump Rules was how I felt like watching, it was very obvious to me that they were not, like, him and Katie were just not really like compatible long term. And she, like a lot of people do, kind of forced his hand along the way. Like, this is what a lot of times I'll see happening is you get mistreated over and over and over again, and the person says they're going to change, and so you take them for their word, and then they don't, and then they betray you again, and then you stay, and then they betray you again and you stay. And it's like he's making out with people in Las Vegas, and he doesn't really want to get married, and she gives him a timeline and he doesn't meet that timeline, and she still marries him. Like, it's like you're still giving them what they want instead of walking away and saying, I want to be with somebody who's a hell yeah about me.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I didn't find Katie near as like victimized by Schwartz, like, because she was just as bad. Like, yes, I get that he made out with people, but oh my God, some of the texts from her were just like, wow, that's as low as you can go. Like,
I think that there's something about Schwartz that's like, I think that he is such a people pleaser and I don't think that he is in tune with his real desires and what's really going on for him. I think he's so wired for people pleasing, probably because of how he grew up with, like, all of the stuff that was going on with his family, that he's not even in touch with what he wants. And so he's kind of going along with the flow of what people are choosing for him. And then he's resentful, and then he's passive aggressive. And so I felt like what we saw with him and Katie is like, he didn't want to get married to her. I don't think he like really loved her that much. I think that he felt like she loved him, and he felt like it was the right thing to do, and that was the person he should be with. Plus, I'm sure it gets really complicated when you're on a reality TV show where you feel like you being a couple is part of what makes you compelling on TV, and all of those things like mixed together. I don't think that I think that what we saw was he was very passive aggressive and like would take things out on her and be resentful towards her, but I don't think he knew why he felt that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, kind of like we talked about before, where Brittany talked about how Jax was not nice to waiters and things like that. I also judge a lot by how celebrities treat fans. And like being on that party bus, Schwartz and Jax were so incredibly different. Schwartz was like so grateful for everybody that showed up, like would say like, I know you spent like your hard-earned money to be here. We just want to make sure you have a great time, and talk to everybody. It didn't matter what they looked like or whatever, and engage with them and smile and look at them. And whereas Jax was just like clearly there because he had to be in order to get the paycheck. And if there was like a hot enough chick, he would kind of have some banter there. But he talked to you very much like he did with the life coach that a couple episodes ago, where he doesn't look at you like you're just beneath him.
Yeah, he gives the air that like he's kind of too good for this.
100%.
And I think Tom Schwartz is like, how the hell did I get here? I don't deserve any of this. And so he's very grateful for it, even though it's probably very weird and surreal to be in that position for him.
Yes, I definitely.
It's like because he's incredibly attractive, he was able to get on TV, basically.
Right. And now like has made a career out of this, you know? So yeah, I mean, it was just, I just find him to be authentic, and I loved him on Lala. I thought he was sweet and genuine, and I wish the rumors were true about them. But
yeah, I know. So my like biggest overwhelming thought after watching them on that is, holy shit, they have chemistry.
Really?
Yes, I think they have so much like genuine chemistry. Like, I don't know about romantic chemistry necessarily, but just like I feel like they get each other and they're actually better friends than I realized.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't think that it could ever be a romantic chemistry, because I don't see Tom Schwartz ever like completely being sober. And I do think Lala would want that in a partner.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that would take that away.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I could see Schwartz getting sober, actually.
I mean, he's played with it a few times, you know, but he tends to go back.
I mean, that's the whole context of his new podcast is, what is it?
Retox Detox.
Yeah, Retox Detox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you listened to that?
I have. I've listened to a few episodes. And so far I find it interesting. Like he's definitely on like this like self-exploration journey. But I'm telling you, like, I mean, he's the kind of person where it's like, I feel like if I messaged him like a sob story about like, we're starting this podcast and we love you, will you please come on? He doesn't know how to say no.
Right.
You know, he's like, God, that's so sad. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas Jax would be like, fuck off. Like,
oh my gosh.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Unless maybe we could like manipulate him into doing it by like stroking his ego and stuff. We actually think you're amazing. We think everybody has misunderstood you.
Yeah, Jax, for sure. That's what it is. Just totally misunderstood.
Yeah, he's not that bad.
No, I mean, you've been right almost all the time. And it's just sad that people don't recognize it.
Exactly. Yeah. And Brittany keeping you from Cruz, diabolical.
It's absolutely off. And who wouldn't watch the cameras? I mean, obviously, like
everyone stalks their ex.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
Every guy would do that.
Yeah, for sure. I have listening devices. I mean, you know, that's normal.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Okay, so Tom on Lala's podcast, just a couple more notes. I also wrote down, the rumors. I wish they were true.
Yeah.
There is everybody, if you're like on Facebook, especially Facebook, I'm finding there are all of these AI Bravo accounts that just create actual fake news.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And people keep posting it in Reddit being like, oh my God, did you guys see this? And it's like, that's fake. It takes like 3 seconds to cross check that and make sure that it's real and it's fake. So everybody needs to work on their media literacy, okay? Also, Tom mentioned that he's not having sex.
Right.
And he said he's not sexually active right now. And I just thought that was interesting. He has this thing where he talks really positively about all of his exes. And
even
I really
Joe.
Respect that. Even Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who really has stalked him.
Yeah.
And has been very, very inappropriate.
And he would like to unblock her. Like, he's like, maybe I will. You know?
I think that's a lie.
That he'll
I think that's his people pleasing. I think he's just like, I think that all of that talking nicely about exes, like he's smart. He knows how things are going to come off and he's people pleasing so that people don't think he's an asshole, I think.
I don't think it's that calculated. I really don't. I think I believe that he talks that way about Joe and it's because like he knows that Joe in whatever way she can, actually cared about him and liked him. And I don't think like that to him, I think he feels like that in and of itself is special, that you saw me, that you cared about me, that you liked me.
That's
Um,
really sweet and generous of you to think that.
that is,
I believe that you think that. Yeah. I can
yeah,
see that. I can see that. I'm skeptical, but I can see that.
yeah, that's what I think.
I would feel like I think that what's interesting is that she has continuously crossed his boundaries and he still speaks kindly about her. And I actually think that's like kind of inappropriate to say nice things, not to say nice things about someone, but to not. I wonder if internally he realizes that she's crossed his boundaries and is inappropriate towards him. You know, like flip the genders and think about how if somebody were emailing you after you'd blocked them, talking about you online, and like kind of incessantly making all these posts about you, you would be like, this person is stalking me and it's not okay. It's really weird.
Yeah, but I think that you're forgetting the reality TV component. Like, I don't think it's Tom's first rodeo with someone using like the fact that they have a connection to him to get followers and
That's
likes.
interesting. Yeah.
Like, so I'm sure you've been down that road many times by the time, after being on Vanderpump for 11 years or 10 years or whatever, you're probably pretty accustomed to people doing that, you
Yeah.
know?
That's true. Okay, so I also thought Lala had really good questions for
Yeah.
him. And the way that the conversation flowed, I just think she's a great interviewer. She's, I think, got a really good podcasting kind of flow down.
Yeah, I
Someone to
agree.
emulate.
Well, and it's also really what I liked when I was listening was it was the way that both of them seemed genuinely interested in the other's answers
Yeah.
and like for follow-up questions. Like they weren't just waiting for their turn to talk. It was
Yeah.
like she would say something and then he would be like, "Oh, really? You did? Like tell me about," it was like this back and forth where it's like I genuinely care about your answer to this. And I just liked them both.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was like watching friends chat, two
Yeah.
old friends chat.
I
Yeah.
do think Lala should at least open herself up to the idea of maybe talking to someone about how much she refuses to have a child with someone.
Yeah. It was interesting when she brought that up. She said on the podcast that she has to find somebody who wants to be a dad,
Mhm.
but who doesn't care about having his own kids and who either already has his own kids or doesn't care about having his own kids because she will never ever use even her husband's sperm for her another baby for her. Like
Right.
this that was it. She did it once, she's never doing it again. She's always going to have a sperm donor.
It's so funny that she thinks that that would matter because, like, legally, if she had a husband and she used a sperm donor, if they got divorced, he would have every right to sue for visitation time. So I
Right.
don't know how she thinks, because again,
Maybe she doesn't want to get married.
well, maybe. But when it comes to, a minor child, courts are really clear on the fact that they're going to do what's in the best interest of the child. She's so traumatized by the
Yes.
fact that Ocean has to go sometimes with her dad. And that's so, and I get that. Like, I understand, but that's being very closed off. And you want someone that wants to be a dad, but you're saying like, okay, what if he genuinely loves your kids and you guys are together for 10 years and then you cheat on him and meet someone else? He should lose his relationship with the kids that you've had him. It's like she wants someone to be a dad to the kids while it works for her.
Yeah.
And
She
that's
wants
not,
total control.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
not fair. That's not a
Yeah.
fair ask, I don't think.
Yeah. And on the other hand, I thought, damn, there's something about having that specific of a vision and being like, and if that guy doesn't slot in, then that guy doesn't slot in. That I'm like, damn, that's like also manifestation to the max where she just knows exactly what she wants. And in her head, even though she knows that must limit the possibilities a lot of men that might date her, she still thinks it's possible. And I'm like, that is like actually kind of inspirational to me.
Yeah.
Not the idea that of having kids with sperm donors and having somebody be the dad, but just the fact that you're like, I want this thing that in society isn't normal and in society will definitely like limit my possibilities, but I believe it's possible. And so I'm going to keep going for it.
I think that that's how everybody should be, is because that's like the epitome of not settling.
Yeah,
Like it's going to be exactly what I want.
exactly. Yeah.
But I just, I think she should open her mind just a little bit.
You think that that is coming from a trauma response, and that if she works through that trauma, she'll be able to be more open, and that will open up her possibilities to date somebody that's even better for her, possibly. And then the last but not least is Tom talked about how he loves the smell of Palo Santo, and that is also my favorite smell.
Really?
Yes, I love the smell of Palo Santo. I've been looking for a good Palo Santo perfume. I've smelled a couple good ones when I've been at like little boutiques and stuff, but I never buy them because I'm very particular about the smell. But I've promised myself that the next time I find a good one, I'm just going to buy it.
Yes.
Even though it might be $60 or whatever, which is always like so crazy, but
sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah.
Some of us older people are keeping up on the Scott Wolf drama. So I mean, anyone can find the restraining order. All you had to do is sign up for an account with the Utah Clerk of Court and pay $5, and then you could. So I definitely did that because I wanted to read it myself. I wanted to just see. Now, unfortunately, I cannot read the declarations that were attached to the petition for the restraining order. So I can't see like what Scott and his brother like actually told the court. But I can read the 3 pages that the judge wrote up for why he was approving the restraining order. And it was definitely like that she has had a lot of mental health issues over the last few months. She's been threatening to take the kids out of the country. What was so interesting is like he's out of town with the kids and he files the restraining order. And I think it sounds like she's moved out for the last few months. Like I would say the last 2 months she has not lived there. And he went out of town with the kids last week. And then she was suddenly posting pictures inside the house. And it was like, oh, I thought you were gone from there, right? And she's like talking about how she's unpacking and, all this. And then it's like, I think it's just a few hours after those Instagrams that he files for the restraining order. So
did you find out that information from the restraining order or just through your other research?
Just through my other research.
That she had been posting photos from the house.
Oh, I was watching it on Instagram. Like these were in her stories. Like I'm just watching her stories as she's unpacking and, like she's clearly trying to show the world, like I'm back in this house.
Right. But they were out of town.
Right. And then he filed the restraining order because I don't think she was supposed to go back to that house.
Evidently.
He has no contact with the kids either now. There will be a hearing on July 9th. And that's because when you file for a restraining order, they tend to be granted right away. And then there'll always be a hearing within a certain amount of time. And that's when they'll decide whether or not they're going to keep that restraining order in place or how they're going to modify it, things like that. And so it's been granted, but it's been set for a hearing for July 9th. And on that day, the judge may say that she gets supervised visitation, those kinds of things. It won't be like she can never talk to the kids again.
Right. But it's like they're in a holding pattern right now because of what's going on.
Yeah. And that was the other thing was that she kept posting stories on Instagram after the restraining order. And, there was one where she was like petting this black cat and she's clearly referencing one of her children in the post, like, hey, so-and-so, this cat misses you, whatever its name was, Midnight or whatever, Midnight misses you. And I promise she was not supposed to do that because that is attempting communication. Even though it's just on social media, whatever, you are still attempting a communication with that person and it could get her in trouble.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's like served a restraining order and still keeps just posting how happy she is and how like you can't see your kids.
Yeah.
This is weird. So, but I did see that when she was on the Real World, because she was on many years ago, but then they did like this reunion season a couple years ago that she was on. And at that time, she did talk about her mental health and that she was taking medication and that she comes across very poised, but it's hiding a lot of stuff. So I guess like she's talked about this to some extent in the past. And I don't know if she just got off her meds. That would be my guess.
Yeah. Did she talk about what kind of meds she was
I don't
on?
think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to like watch unfold because it almost seems like she's living her life for the internet
Yeah.
instead of like she's trying to keep up appearances for the internet, but behind the scenes, everything is kind of a wreck. And it does remind you a little bit of like Jax trying to control the narrative and make sure that like he knows what's going on. But I don't know anything about her. I don't know if that's at all what's going on for her, but it is interesting to think she's sitting at home posting these pictures, acting like everything is fine publicly, but behind the scenes, she has a restraining order being filed against her. And she knows that.
Yeah.
Like she knows that that's going on. So there's so much cognitive dissonance or potentially like delusion
Well,
about the reality of the situation.
yeah. And sometimes she'll post like, just an FYI, everybody, I am clear-headed, sober, happy, calm. And then the very next story is her with a glass of wine. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like,
define sober.
right.
Like, what do
you
you
mean? Like in this
Right.
Instagram story, but not in general? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a train wreck right now.
Yeah. You know, when I went on that ayahuasca retreat, like 8 years ago or whatever, they had a psychiatrist screen everybody that went on that. Like it was a legitimate place where you go in Costa Rica and you have to get screened because if you have a history of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder in your family, they don't let you go.
Oh, wow.
Because, you know, there's not a ton of research on using ayahuasca or ketamine or mushrooms for the psychedelic purposes, for mental health purposes, because you have to have funding to do research and they've been illegal. It's been illegal to do it like that. So we don't have a ton of actual scientific evidence to support these modalities unless they're being funded by the government or by universities and things like that. So all of that is to say, like, they don't know a ton about these things, but what they think they know is that if you have a history of those things in your family and you haven't had those symptoms, it can trigger the onset of those symptoms.
Oh, wow.
And so I think about how I had heard that she was, you know, she had that picture with her shaman on Instagram. So at the very least, she's doing psychedelic medicine of some sort. Who knows what kind and who knows how often and who knows with who. There are a lot of people that are predatory that do those types of things in a predatory way to take your money. They don't know what they're doing. They aren't like, you know, it's not, there aren't psychologists and psychiatrists around to like make sure everything is okay. And yeah, it makes you wonder what kind of like mental health crunchy world she's fallen into where people are doing that kind of thing instead of actually going to therapy.
Well, we had one here, like they got away with it because they would call it as part of a church, was how they would get away with it. And so there was one in Orlando that got really big. I mean, and it was nothing but a money-making thing. And from what I was reading online, it was like they would do like these 2-day things and they were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But that also meant that you were having too many people there at a time doing this and not enough people that were keeping an eye on people, making sure they were okay. And ultimately someone died. And they had to shut the place down. And when I was doing research on it, it was like, this just looks so predatory. This guy, like if I look at his Instagram 5 years ago, the guy that's leading it, he's just a normal white guy, right? But 5 years in, he's like a shaman and like all this shit. And it's just like, yeah, it definitely seemed much more like recreational fun than anything that it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Like at the one that I went to, they had shamans from Peru that came and like, they don't speak English. They're like straight out of the freaking jungle of Peru, basically.
Yeah.
And they had a psychologist on staff, and we weren't allowed to have our phone. Like, we were allowed to have our phones, but I mean, like, they really encouraged go offline, meditate. We had all of these like group therapy sessions and like all of that kind of stuff. It was very legit, and everybody there was like, everybody that worked there really believed in what they were doing. And I just felt like there was a lot of heart in it and a lot of belief that these types of things can help you if you are in the right setting with the right dose, with the right people, like all of that kind of stuff. But there has to be, I don't know, a lot of guard because it's not regulated. Like, you really have to vet the place.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but you just wonder what's going on for her. All right, so let's get into
Love Island.
Love Island really quick.
Okay.
What are your thoughts this week?
I was actually like kind of glad there was no episode last night. I needed a break. It's a lot to keep up with, but yeah, I mean, I thought obviously I was upset about Taylor. I'm disappointed in Taylor.
Okay, tell me more.
That's a very therapist way to say that. I think that her name's Clark, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that he's not used to a girl like Clark being into him.
What do you mean by a girl like Clark?
Olandria, I find to be just like a natural beauty, but like with Clark, I see this like more glamorized effort at being, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like kind of like a high maintenance versus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I think like for him, it's like this like Kardashian wannabe likes him. And I think that's making him like her more just from an ego place. But the person that like he would have a solid, healthy, good relationship with is the one that he just threw away.
Yeah. Other thoughts do you have about Love Island this week?
I think that the more that I watch the show, the more that I'm starting to see that it seems more like people trying to get to the end and make money. Like, I don't know that I believe hardly any of the connections.
Yeah.
Like the guy that like chose Huda.
Yeah.
I am like,
no, he wants to stay on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So there's some criticisms about the way they did Casa Amor this year, because usually with Casa Amor, so I agree with you.
Okay.
And usually with Casa Amor, they don't have to couple up. So they split the group up into boys and girls, and then they introduce the new people, but the new people don't have to couple up at all. What happens is after Casa Amor, at whatever 4 days or whatever it is, the people that were introduced to the new people get to decide if they want to join in a couple with one of the new people or if they want to keep their old connection. So for instance, Taylor would have had to decide, do I want to be with Olandria or do I want to be with Clark? And then, so let's just say he decided he wants to be with Clark. So then the new people, the other people come back from Casa Amor and they walk in one by one with either by themselves or with their new couple.
Okay.
So you could be like, so Olandria would have probably walked in alone and then seen that he was coupled up with Clark.
Okay.
And then been like, okay, well, I guess we didn't have that strong of a connection if you're coupled up with Clark.
Right.
It's harder for people to like just stay on the show.
Okay, so go back to what you were just saying. So in that instance, how they were doing it before.
Yeah.
Like, let's say Olandria would have come back and she would have seen that he's with Clark. Would she then leave?
So then they're like vulnerable.
Okay.
And sometimes they don't leave exactly, but they usually get a couple of days, I think.
Okay.
Again, I've only seen one season all the way through. I've only seen the last USA season.
Okay.
And it was just like, what's that thing in a bottle? Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
It was lightning in a bottle in that all of the connections were really believable. And you didn't really feel like anybody was staying on the show for fame or love, or sorry, for fame or money necessarily.
Okay.
And connect, like like Huda and Jeremiah were the only two people on this whole season that I actually buy the connection of.
Yeah.
And that was like all of the couples last season.
Okay.
Not that much drama, but that much like chemistry and believability was there for everyone. So it's like, I believe that Huda really liked him, and I believe that he really liked her, and that they just were not compatible, but that they really liked each other. That was very believable, and you could see that on the screen. And so that was what the last season was like. And I think because everybody got so famous from that, and it was lightning in a bottle, that this season, what we're seeing is a lot of people strategically going on the show. And obviously everybody that goes on the show is on there at least partially because they know they can get famous.
Yeah.
That's why they all look the way they do. That's why they all have social medias already. Like, there's a point that they all go on that show. If you're that hot, you're really wasting your hot talent not being famous. But I do think that the people on the show this year are strategic. And I even think it's possible that they had conversations about the strategy that we haven't seen. So anyway, the criticism of Casa Amor this year is like, because they did it that way, it made it so that like people paired up, and then now they're in new couples that are just 3 days old. And it's like, we're just not buying any of the chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely am not buying the chemistry.
Yeah. And the only other chemistry I believe is Alandria and Nick. I think Nick likes Alandria.
Really?
Yeah. I think he likes Alandria. I think that when she told him that she felt like he was just a friend, he was going along with it because that's what she said. But I think he was hoping for a different conversation at that moment.
I don't.
Really?
No, I don't. I think he didn't feel a spark either. That's what I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see what happens this week. Hopefully movie night happens this week. I sent you a voice note, right?
No.
Oh, I meant to send you a voice note about what happens on movie night.
What happens on movie night?
On movie night, they show a bunch of, so it's like Jeopardy, where there's a bunch of themes. I might be explaining this a little wrong, but basically there's like a bunch of themes of types of movies that the producers have put together clips of.
Okay.
So they put together these little like 20, 30-second, minute-long clips of maybe two people who aren't coupled up having tons of chemistry and alone time that nobody else knew about.
Oh.
Or moments from Casa Amor that like the person that they're currently paired up with doesn't know about. Like maybe they made out with somebody and never told their partner, and so they get to see that. So they have to choose like a theme, like missed connections, for instance. I'm just making this up, but like let's say the theme is missed connections, and then they'll pull a video, and basically it's just the producers making everything really messy.
Well, and see, that sounds like maybe on last season that would have been really good. But like with this season, what first came to my mind is none of them are going to care.
Right. Like how much of it is just going to be like fake manufactured caring?
Right. Like they'll only care insofar as like, okay, well, make sure you stay with me though, because I want that money at the end. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just.
Yeah. And so you know that the public votes on who wins.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they'll kind of narrow it, at least as far as I remember, they narrow it down to a few top couples, and then the public votes on which couple wins. So not only do you have to be like, the public has to buy your chemistry in order for you to win.
And do the couples start leaving, or does everybody stay till the end?
Oh yeah, we're going to whittle down. I bet they'll whittle down a lot of people in the next week.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So they start.
I think at the end there's like 6 couples left or something. 7 couples left, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, the public votes on that. So, you know, all these things that we're saying about how we don't really buy the couples and we think they're just strategically staying together and stuff, that matters. If you're not selling your chemistry to the people watching the show, then they're not going to vote for you.
This is a weird show.
Yeah.
It's a very weird premise.
It's an incredibly weird premise. It's sort of like, did you ever watch Fuckboy Island?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
That's a real show?
Yes. And the premise, so it's the ex-Bachelor producer, Elon. I think Elon Gale is his name. And he did like early seasons of The Bachelor. He was sort of like the mastermind behind the good seasons of The Bachelor.
Okay.
He went on to create F-Boy Island. I think it's called F-Boy Island. And F-Boy Island, it is a cash prize at the end, and it's hosted by Nikki Glazer.
Okay.
Do you know her?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's very funny, and she's really a really good host. And so in the season that I watched, I don't know if there's more than one, but in the season that I watched, it was Katie Thurston from The Bachelor and then 2 other girls from different reality shows. So there's 3 main girl leads.
Okay.
And then they have all of these guys, and the guys are competing for the girls. But the premise is half of them are F boys and half of them are nice guys, but the girls don't know which ones are which. And the guys go in, it's a strategy show. So, like, you're not really watching to find love, it's a strategy show. The game is the girls have to pick a guy at the end, and the guy that they pick can either decide to split the money with them 50-50 or take all of the money. And so the girls are trying to figure out, like, which one of these guys are F boys and which one of these guys are the kind of guys that would split the money with me at the end. And if I really like you, am I buying that you would split the money with me? Like, all that kind of stuff. So you get all the confessionals of the guys being like saying their true thoughts. They're not really into her, blah, 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 blah. They're just doing it for the game. So you get all of that, but they don't see that. But it's really fun because everybody knows it's a game. So it's not like these girls are getting their hearts broken or something. It's fun because it's a game and everybody is in on the joke, kind of.
Yeah, but you're devastated at the end. I mean, that happened on a season of The Challenge, where at the very last, and of course, it was Johnny Bananas. And him and this girl won the show. And then TJ gives them a twist, and Johnny gets to decide whether to split the money with her or just keep it all. And he keeps it all. And like, that girl has never been back on the challenge. She was absolutely devastated. I mean, I'll never forget, like, just the way she fell over crying. Just couldn't believe that he would do this to her, you know, like, and it was, I mean, money like that is life-changing for them, you know? Like,
especially back then. What was that, 10 years ago?
Yes.
A lot more money than it is now.
Yes. And so I don't know. To be that close to having $150,000 and then person being like, no, I'm going to have $300,000.
Yeah. And somebody that you've trusted along the way.
Yes.
Trusted at their word and all of that, for sure. I mean, it reminds me of that season of The Traitors where it was not Chriselle. It was, what's her face from The Real World in CT.
Yeah. Trishelle.
That got all the way to the end together.
Yes.
What's her name?
Trishelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got all the way to the end together. And I think that's what Trishelle was thinking. She's like, this guy's gonna F me over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and how do I know that he's not lying to me?
If it was Johnny Bananas, like, for sure, you would have to be like, nope, you've got to go. I can't, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I could see why she was worried about CT because but I love CT.
I know. I really liked him too. Okay. So anyway, that's a really good segue. Let's get into, can you give me the premise of the challenge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So the challenge originally started many years ago. You remember the show Real World, and then you remember the show Road Rules.
I don't even know what that show is about. I didn't have MTV, so I didn't see any of these shows until my adult life.
Okay.
So you're going to have to, like, really give me the dumbed down version.
All right. So the Real World was first, and that was a sensation like we had never seen before. It was the first time that you just took 6 strangers, put them in a house, and they have to live together.
And I think the only season of The Real World that I've seen front to back is Trishelle's season.
Okay.
Because I think it went on Netflix or it was on some streaming service I had. So it was like one of the really old school ones. And I loved it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It was so good. So that show came first. And then there was a show that came out called Road Rules. And Road Rules would be the same premise of, like, you know, 6 to 8 people, but they're in an RV and they're traveling around the country and they do these different challenges at different locations. So, like, around, right? And so that was Road Rules. Road Rules would have a cash prize at the end. Real World, you're there for the experience of it, right? So a few seasons later, many seasons later, MTV had this idea of, what if we challenged the Real World cast members to a challenge against the Road Rules cast members? And that was the start of the challenge. You take some people from this show, you take some people from this show, put them in a house, and then there's going to be a ton of different challenges that you do. And ultimately, there will be a group of either 2 to 4 people that will win, and you'll get the prize of, how sometimes it's like you earn money each, the pot gets bigger for each challenge that you win. So it could be, I think when it started, it was like $100,000, but now I think it's like closer to like $500,000 or something like that. And so you've got people that have made their careers
100%. Yeah.
the challenge.
Being on reality TV shows. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Like this. Okay.
Yes.
And so it's similar-ish to Traders in that your pot grows over time. There's a group that wins at the end. You have to build alliances.
Yes. Yes. And there'll be like twists thrown in now and then.
I love it.
Like different things. And, when it first came out, definitely there was a ton of hooking up and drama. But we obviously have some older cast members now that have been doing this a very long time. So there's not as much. I mean, it still happens all the time, and it's always great. I sent you a video that I wanted you to watch this morning of CT and DM. Yes. And you watched it, right?
Yes.
And that was like over, I think, 8 years that we watched them, like their love story. And so every once in a while, like you'll have that. There'll be chemistry, and we'll get to watch that bloom and whatever. But with some of the older ones, no. So anyways, over the years, you run out of cast members because Road Rules has been canceled forever. And Real World, I don't think, like they've done some homecoming seasons, things like that. So they had to start getting contestants from other shows. And so they've done that over the years, and there's been a couple times where they've brought in people that have never been on reality TV before. So it would be, they always have some that we're familiar with. And then it would be like, okay, and then here are just these random 12 people that tried out, and we've decided to put them on the show.
Yeah.
And they're all usually very attractive, obviously. And the challenges are very hard. The final challenge, it's always like over the span of like 2 days, you're going to be running, you're going to be swimming, you're going to be rowing, it is.
So they're athletic. Okay.
Yes. There was a season where they had this guy on Big E, and he was just like a normal person that tried out for the show, and he was very, very overweight, and he made it to the end, and it was the biggest regret for that group. Like, because you had these 2 groups that were competing that final day, and you can't win unless you're all at the finish line.
And they liked him, so they kept him, but then he ended up being...
He went down. Like, they had to have medics come in. Like, he couldn't breathe. It was just like, it was a very, very big regret for the group. But yeah, they liked him. So they kept him. So anyways, so the challenge season 41 is coming out. So I'm going to go over some of the cast that we're going to see on the challenge.
Yeah.
And you might know some of these people that I don't, because I'm not familiar with a lot of reality TV.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with the new people that have never been on the challenge before. We have Jake Cornish from Love Island All-Stars. Ben Davis is a boxer. I'm not familiar.
Okay.
Leonardo, I have no idea how you say this name. Do you know who this is? He's from Love Island USA.
No.
Leonardo
Dionichillo.
There you go.
Love Island USA. Okay.
Yep.
He was not on the last season, which is the only one I watched.
Okay. Izzy Fairthorn, Too Hot to Handle.
Okay.
Will Gagnon. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
Are You the One? Justin Hensley from Cheer. I watched Cheer.
So, yeah, I watched Cheer.
Yeah, so I need to like go back and see exactly like maybe some of the episodes he's been in, because I didn't even recognize him from the picture.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah, but he's in it.
He's got that Gen Z haircut that everybody has.
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of like a mullet kind of vibe.
Cedric Hodges from Big Brother 26. Jeremy Heichel from The Amazing Race 35. Blue Kim from Big Brother 25. America Lopez from Big Brother 25. Did you watch Big Brother? I don't watch that show. No. Adrian Naylor from Married at First Sight UK. Sydney Siegel from Survivor 41, and I believe she's going back for Survivor 50. Lika Sodad, Canada's Ultimate Challenge. Dee Valadares, Survivor 45. Gabe Way, former WE, and Tay Wilcoxon, Big Brother Australia 15. So a lot of Big Brother castmates.
Yeah. So they're game players.
Yes.
Yeah, this is like a cast full of game players.
Yes, for sure.
Whereas with Traders, they kind of split up between game players, the gamers, and then just like the reality TV people like the Housewives and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm kind of glad because sometimes when they just cast, you know, people that just tried out for the show or whatever, you can tell they take things a lot more personal. They're not used to the game. And whereas the vets, they know.
Yeah, they'll cut throat.
They are cutthroat.
By the way, that video you sent me with the clips of Wes was in there too. And he came off as much more likable there than on the Traders.
I mean, yeah, he's not though, really.
He's not likable, yeah, but no. He was
in that clip.
He at least softened up in that video.
Yes. Yes, yeah. He definitely softened up in that video. I hear that he is in alternate this season.
Oh, okay. Because so somebody can't do it for some reason? Is that how it works?
Well, they have always drank a lot on this show. And
that's interesting.
Yes. And so if you get into a fight, you have to leave. Like, it's against the rules to put your hands on anybody. And we've got some alphas in here that have too much to drink. And yeah. Or if you sneak in a phone, or there's different things that, yeah.
So sometimes people get kicked off.
Yeah. And so they always have like an alternate waiting in the wings in the event that someone, and sometimes people quit. They get pissed and like, no, I want to go.
Yeah. Okay,
so I am so excited for the vets that they have, though.
Okay.
I was so scared when I saw the name Theo that it was, the podcaster, that Theo, he's from the challenge. He's from the challenge. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how he got
started. And this
started.
is the Trumper that like has recently come out against the genocide in Gaza, basically.
Yes.
It's like, baby, you voted for this, honey bun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And I loved him on the challenge. I would have had no idea that this is who he was. Like, I don't know what happened, because he was one of the nicer, cast members. So
yeah,
when I saw the name Theo come up, my heart stopped. But it's not Theo Von. It's Theo Campbell. He's been on 4 seasons. I'm giving these to you in the order of like, I'm least impressed to I'm so fucking excited. All right.
Okay.
So we've got Theo Campbell, Michaela Bradshaw, then Olivia Kaiser.
Say which are these all people from the challenge, or
these are all the vets? Yes. So these
from
are
the
all,
challenge.
Yep, they've all been on the challenge.
Okay.
Olivia Kaiser, she's been on for 3 seasons. Aviv Melmed, he's been on 2 seasons. Rogan O'Connor, 3 seasons. Tarabi, 4 seasons. Goes by Turbo. Okay, now we're going to get into the ones that I'm excited about.
Okay.
Derek Chavez is back.
Okay. Have I ever seen him on Traders or anything? Derek sounds familiar.
I don't think this is Derek C. And I don't think you've seen Derek C on anything.
Okay.
But we also have Derek K coming back, who has been on 14 seasons of the challenge. You may have seen him on something else, possibly.
Okay.
He's definitely like a career vet. Then Ashley Mitchell is coming back. She's won twice. She's been on 10 seasons. Leroy Garrett is coming back. He's done 15 seasons. I love Leroy. Leroy's biggest problem is that he is not, you can tell lying does not feel good to him.
Okay.
So every once in a while he struggles there. Like, he's not as cutthroat as he has to be, but I love him. Nani Gonzalez is coming back. I'm super excited to see her. She's one of my favorites. Then we've got Johnny fucking Bananas, who's been on 24 seasons. They can't get him off the show.
Yeah, he won't leave.
He will not leave. I do not like Johnny Bananas. I'd be totally, I mean, it's so tough because I feel like I'd be fine if they never had him back on. But I do know that he brings drama. And
Is he a good villain?
yes,
Okay.
he is a good villain.
I've heard some clips from his podcast and stuff. And yeah, he's just such a bro. I'm like not really into bros.
No, I thought like one of his podcast episodes, he had Tom Sandoval on. And I'm like,
Yes.
you two you could be besties.
Yeah.
You're one soul. You know, like,
Okay.
Yeah. So
loves the attention, loves the fame, loves the drama.
Yes. And I would be willing to bet that he gives off like Jack's energy with his fans.
Okay, gotcha. So a little.
Yeah, definitely he's way better than any of us, right? Like,
okay.
And even when, luckily the new threats are all from reality TV, but when we would have those seasons where they would just pick random people, he would be such an asshole to them, like they'd be like, well, I think we should do this. And he's just like, okay, you're new here. Nobody gives a shit what you think. Nobody's watching for you. Like, he's just a dick. So Johnny Bananas is here.
All right. 7 wins.
What's that? Yeah, 7.
He has 7 wins.
7
That's
wins.
so annoying.
Yes. And he is the one that took the money at the end.
Got it.
Of course he did. Anissa is back. She's been 19 seasons. I do love Anissa. She's just been here since the beginning. Cara Maria is back, and I'm surprised. I mean, she's been 16 seasons, but I think she's taken a break for a while. Look up her Instagram. Like, that chick is one of the strongest females I've ever seen. She is just stacked, and she's just very interesting and eclectic, and I like her. I like her a lot.
Okay.
I think a lot of guys are threatened by her. Like, I get that vibe.
Yeah, she exudes confidence.
Yes. And she's very, I think she was in a relationship with one of the cast members for a while, and she was very open about the fact that they were open. Like, we're not putting restrictions on each other, do what you want.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see her. But my favorite is CT. CT's been on 20 seasons. He's had 5 wins. There was a season, if I can find the clip, I'm going to add it in right here to the YouTube so that other people can see this clip, because it's one of my favorite challenge moments of all time. So as they're doing the challenge, what'll happen is every 2 days, they will have to choose 2 people that go into this duel. And one of them, whoever wins stays, whoever loses goes home. That's how they get the pass down to a small amount, right? Like, to the winners. And so they had this one season where what the duel would be was you pick one guy, one girl to go in, and they would have these other cast members that were not part of the show. They were only there to compete against the person that got sent into the duel. And if they beat you, then you went home. Right? So it was like a gladiator type thing, whatever. So anyways, one time Johnny Bananas got sent in to the duel, and the person that comes out to battle him is CT, who is not on that season. We're only seeing him for this, right? And basically, it's like they're tethered to each other's backs, and you're trying to drag the other one across a line. And whoever can get the person across their line wins, right? And so when the girls do it, they're on the ground, they're clawing, they're digging, whatever. So CT and Johnny Bananas get hooked up, and CT fucking carries Johnny Bananas like a backpack, just stands up, and Johnny's flailing on his back, trying to do anything he can. And CT's just muscle walking all the way across the finish line.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's beautiful. And
we love the downfall of Johnny Bananas. Yes. Is that what I'm gathering?
Well, because he always says it's his most embarrassing moment. And I'm like, we should air it all the time.
Yeah.
We should just constantly replay that.
Yeah, he got really emasculated.
Yes, and it was so beautiful. It's my favorite moment.
Love that.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see this group together. I actually stopped.
So it's vets versus newbies?
It's vets versus new threats.
Vets versus new threats.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. So CT and Johnny Bananas will be on the same team?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
We won't know until the first episode. Then
Okay,
we'll
so
have
it's
an
not
idea.
like Survivor where they like with Survivor it's like Gen Z versus millennials and that's how the teams are.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
not necessarily like that. And they'll switch it up throughout the season. And I actually haven't watched since DM passed away. I was so sad to lose her. I'd watched her journey for so long and it was just so heartbreaking. But I'm ready to come back to it. And CT was gone for several years, I think for similar reasons. So I'm excited to see him back and get the old gang back together.
Was Traders his reintroduction into competition reality TV?
I think by then he had come back to the challenge.
Okay.
And that was another reason that I really loved seeing Trishelle see that she could trust him, because we have seen this like evolution of CT where he is softer and it's nice to see.
Yeah, totally. Well, great. I'm so excited to recap. Okay. Okay, so I think last up on our agenda today is, when it comes to pop culture stuff, is the McBee Dynasty show that you've been watching, because season 2 drops soonish.
June 30th, Tuesday. So I finished season 1. And basically it sounds like Steve McBee, the patriarch of the family, is not going to be on this season very much. And that is because like he is facing a prison sentence for fraud. And so we're going to...
Is McBee Dynasty basically like Yellowstone, but real life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And so you're basically following the brothers. You've got Stephen McBee Jr., Cole McBee, Jesse McBee. He's like the pretty boy. Jesse is really pretty.
Okay.
Stephen is the big muscle like guy.
Okay.
Cole is the middle son and the wild child. He's a lot like his dad. But I'm curious if he kind of like softens a little bit this season, because I believe he, if I'm not mistaken, his girlfriend Casey just had a baby. And so maybe we'll see him kind of tone it down a little bit.
Okay.
Which would be nice. Jesse, the pretty boy, he got engaged at the end of season 1. So I know we're going to be like looking at the wedding planning and all of that.
And he's the one that's engaged to the girl you don't like?
No, that is Stephen McBee Jr., the big muscle guy. It's not that I don't like her. I just don't.
She just doesn't really fit with the lifestyle that they have.
Right. She's a city girl. Girl. And it sounds like there's definitely...
You're like, all I'm saying is I think I would be a better fit.
Or Brittany. I'm open to either. I'm open to either. But there's definitely a lot of drama going on. It's so Steve McBee Jr., that's the muscle oldest son, he's probably the one that's going to take over the ranch with his dad going away. His girlfriend is Brooke. They met on that show Joe Millionaire.
Right.
And Brooke's sister passed away a few months before filming started for season 2.
Okay.
And nobody in the McBee family or the McBee's girlfriends reached out to her and like to offer any condolences and whatever. Now it sounds like her and Steven, they are like a makeup breakup couple, right? Like all the frickin' time. They were broken up at the time that it happened. And it sounds like Steven basically told them, like, don't reach out, just let it be. Then they got back together. And she is starting the season very upset with all of them for not reaching out. And I feel like she should just be mad at Steven for telling them not to reach out. Like, she's not putting any responsibility. Like, it's like, well, they shouldn't have listened to you and they should have contacted me anyway. And like most of the boys are like, you told us not to say anything.
Yeah, that's flawed thinking.
Yeah. And the girlfriend, same thing. They're like, you said that you guys weren't talking. It felt like it would have been weirder, like to...
Yeah, it's actually like a boundary violation for his family to be like, you know what, I'm going to ignore what you said. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to her.
Yeah.
That's how I would think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's like, at the very least, they could have texted me, just sorry for your loss, just anything. But I didn't hear from them at all.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so she's trying to be the main star of the season.
Yes. So then
All
the
right.
other thing that we have is there's this woman, Galena, that she kind of helps run the ranch. She's an older woman. She had a relationship with Steve McBee, the patriarch of the family, during season 1.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've yet to meet the mom. She is going to be on this season of The Boys. That's his ex-wife.
Okay.
She's going to be on this season. But during season 1, Steve was in a relationship with Galena. However, he would never call it like his girlfriends because he was still definitely talking with other women.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Galena knew that, but I don't know. I can't make heads or tails out of her. It's kind of that situation where it's like he's telling you he doesn't want to commit, and yet like you've convinced yourself if you keep having sex with him and staying over, like it'll get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I guess
I can
that
fix him. I can.
exactly. So apparently this season, Steve McBee Sr. does end up like hooking up with another girl. And it
Okay.
sounds like Galena, like, and it's all caught on film, like loses it, like slashes tires, busts car windows. It's all caught on camera. It's not good.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Love that though.
I know. So I'm
I
excited.
love a messy queen.
I'm excited.
Get back at him, baby.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay. And so that comes out on the 30th as well.
Yeah. So I'll keep you
Okay.
updated if there's any like great must-see moments.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So next, current obsessions.
Current obsession.
Any recommendations for the week for our listeners?
I did watch Dallas Cowboys, and I think the new season of the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, I would recommend it mostly because I think it's really nice to see the veterans that know that they're going to leave. Like this is more than likely going to be their final season, and the risks and fight that they're willing to have to get better compensation for the future cheerleaders.
Yeah, and it's everywhere. So this isn't a spoiler that they've gotten an increase by 400% of their salary. But then when you really break that down, they went from what, like $22,000 a year to like 400% of that is still under $100,000 a year. It's still not a livable like wage probably for the city they live in.
I thought it was that now their salary is like $115,000 a year.
I hadn't heard the number. Is that what it is?
I think so.
That's great. That, because I know a lot of them were working multiple jobs and stuff like that. 115 is definitely more doable than.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like not interesting, but like some of the blonde coach, I forget her name, not the one that leads it, but the blonde one.
Yeah.
You could tell that she's like, it's the same thing that I see like Republicans do sometimes, where it's like, she keeps saying, right, but I did that. I didn't, like that's how it is.
Yeah, because I had to suffer through it. You have to suffer through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like the people that are like, we're not forgiving student loans because I paid mine off, know? And it's like, okay, well, and I'm sorry.
This isn't about you for once.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think that show is interesting because it's such a microculture of patriarchy and conservatism and misogyny and like the way that women internalize misogyny and the patriarchy within their culture. And it's like that idea that when you're swimming in the water of patriarchy, you don't realize you're in it.
Yeah, it's so.
And then we watch it and we're like, that is some misogyny if I've ever seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I don't know, because like I'm a huge Cowboys fan. And like my husband and I chose our wedding date because it was when the Bucks played the Cowboys, and the Bucks is his team and the Cowboys is my team. And, we kind of started dating because we were ribbing each other about the other team. And now I'm like, I don't know where that started exactly, because it is not
what, like, your love for the Cowboys, you mean?
Yeah. Like just because of what that area represents to me. Not a lot of political values or gender
Right.
roles that
Right.
I would lean into. But
Right.
I love a good cowboy, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's probably a couple different explanations for that, but I think that what's like American sports and having an American sports team that you root for and stuff is almost like synonymous with hometown pride kind of a thing. It's like I'm not really proud of where I come from, but I'm proud of the team that it represents or something. Like it brings people together in the same way that maybe being really proud of where you're from would bring you together. Like you have that thing in common.
Yeah.
And it's also like tribal, I think, to be a part of something and root for the same thing, even though you have lots of things different about you.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too because it's like I love rooting for the Cowboys. I generally don't like Cowboys fans.
Right. And you probably, yeah, like exactly. You like being part of it, but the actual values that all of those people represent are not in alignment with you. So it's like, why is it that I feel the same way about being a Chiefs fan? I'm from Kansas City. I'm a Chiefs fan, especially with like the Taylor
Oh,
Swift, Travis
yeah.
Kelce of it all. I like the Chiefs because it's my hometown team, because I was raised to like them, and because it's the way I bond with my dad.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to break it down, that's kind of what it's about. I watch the Chiefs game so I can text my dad about watching the Chiefs game. It's not really because I like it, and I'm kind of usually bored during it. On top of that, a lot of the people on the Chiefs are MAGA. And so I have
Yes.
actually like a lot of conflicting feelings about, is it okay to root for a sports team where the people that play on that sports team that you're directly supporting, their income, their fame, all of that, are in opposition. Yeah, I guess all of that is to say, like, I feel conflicted about supporting that team. And I think for me, it's like, I don't even really like watching it that much. So why am I gonna support it if I don't even really, if it's really just a mechanism for me to bond with a parent?
Yeah.
But, when I quit drinking, that took away a big way that I used to bond with my parents. Sitting around
Yeah.
and drinking outside and like talking about life and getting a little drunk and being able to open up, like that was sort of a thing that we would do. And I obviously don't even live near them anymore, so the things that we have to bond over are smaller and smaller. It's basically like the weather.
Yeah.
And I guess that's fine. So my recommendation is, this week Zach and I have started watching a new show on Apple TV. It's called
Okay.
Your Friends and Neighbors. And it's got
Okay.
John Hamm in it.
Okay.
And it is, at first I was like kind of worried that it was going to be you find out in the first episode, so this isn't a huge spoiler, but a lot happens each episode. It's like watching a whole movie. It's kind of weird. Like Zach and I kept being like, wait, is this episode still going? Even though it was only an hour long, because it just felt like so many different scenes happening.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it's John Hamm. He basically gets accused of sexually harassing, or I guess like sexual involvement with a coworker that he's a superior of, technically, in like the food chain of the business. Lives in New York City. He works for like a hedge fund or whatever. He's like in finance. He's very successful and very rich. And it's about the steps, the journey. You see like the journey of him and his wife meeting. They buy their first house. They buy their second house. They buy their third house. You watch them becoming like more and more wealthy, nicer and nicer cars and all of that. They get to this part where they're really rich and they're like empty, and he finds out that she's cheating on him with his friend. So
is it a drama or comedy?
More of a drama. Yeah,
okay.
I think there might be some funny parts to it, but it's more of a drama for sure. And I actually don't even know where it's going. Like, for all I know, it's hard to even say what genre it's in. Like, it could be, there's moments where you're like, it's really tense, and I'm actually not sure if it's about to become like a horror or something.
Is it new? Is this a new show?
It's new, yeah. I think it's out. Like, I think the episodes are coming out as we speak, like week over week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And we can only watch like one at a time because it's so intense. But anyway, so he gets accused of sexual assault and gets fired from his job. Not sexual assault. He sleeps with a coworker and gets fired from his job.
Okay.
And so it's about him
Okay.
navigating this sort of midlife crisis thing of, okay, now I've been fired from my job. My wife has left me for my friend. She's living in my old house. I had to rent an apartment condo thing to live in because she lives there. I'm dealing with all the bitterness and resentfulness of like where my life has ended up. I have no relationship with my kids because all I've done is work for the last 15 years, and the rebuilding of that and like the coping with that reality. And so he starts to do some kind of wacky things in order to make money. And
Okay.
yeah, so it's sort of like an eclectic drama type thing. So you're kind of following his character, but he didn't actually, just to add a little, just to fill in a little bit of the gap, and you find this out in the first episode, he didn't actually sexually assault or harass anyone. His boss used that as leverage to get him out of the company because he didn't want him coming for his job.
Oh, okay.
So his boss basically takes him out and is like, "You're fired. We found out you slept with so and so, and there's no fraternizing with coworkers, and like you can't work here anymore." After he's put in, 15 years at that company and all that kind of stuff, and like built up the ladder.
Right.
So he met a girl at a bar. They slept together. Turns out she worked for the company. He didn't even know that. That's what happened. It was a consensual like
Okay.
situation. So he's not actually a villain in that way, and it's not some sort of like false accusation. Like she didn't accuse of him anything. The boss found out about it somehow.
It reminds me right now of American Beauty.
I didn't see that.
Did you ever see that movie? What? Oh, wow.
I know. I have seen about like 8 movies.
Okay. Well,
so if you ask me if I've seen a movie, I haven't.
It's a very, very similar premise. You saw Promising Young Women.
I did see that. That's because I'm a Bo Burnham stan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen any of Bo Burnham's stand-ups?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. You and Trav have to. This is my second recommendation then. If you guys don't know Bo Burnham's so good. He did a stand-up called Make Happy, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And he does sort of like musical comedy. He's in his own genre of like musical comedy kind of. And so he writes all the music and they're like funny songs. I'm not selling it very well, but he's very, very, very smart. What I also love about Bo Burnham is he's very deep, and his comedy always is like very layered in the kind of message it's trying to send. So it's smart.
Okay. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. And it's a little depressing, the Make Happy one, in terms of like, he's kind of coping with the fact that he's built a career off of entertaining people and how empty it feels actually to have to be like basically a clown. That's how he feels.
Oh, well, that sounds uplifting.
Yeah.
And good.
And then he disappeared. I haven't seen him in anything since then. I think that was his last comedy special that he did. And then he has been flying under the radar for a while, and then he was in that movie, and I think he directed another movie called 8th Grade and kind of started to do like scripted movies and stuff.
Okay. So the Make Happy is not like stand up. This is like him talking about.
No, it's a stand up.
Or is it a stand? Okay.
It's just musical. It's a musical like comedy stand up. I'm trying to think of what it would be like. I don't know. He's on a like genre of his own. I think that's part of why it's so interesting.
Like, what do you call it? Flight of the Conchords?
Yes. Except more of a stand-up special. But I'll send you one of my favorite like skits that he does, just so you have kind of a sense of what it's about. And then if you're into it, you can go watch.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Cass. Well, we will sign off, and we'll see everyone on Thursday, potentially even Wednesday, if we can drop it early, for our Valley recap.
Yeah. Sounds good. A lot of great TV coming this week.
Yeah, exciting.
Yep.
Okay, love you.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.